Hello everybody. Just having a bit of a fiddle there. Didn't realise the camera was quite on yet. Welcome to Ironing Mike's Happy Hour, everybody. Well, it's not very tropical here. Outside, that is. Inside here, we've got a bit of a tropical vibe going. This is the value of our happy hour coming to you from the Happy Hour Shack, is that it's always sunny in the Happy Hour Shack. You're always advised to apply the blockout and wear a hat. I hope you're in costume at home. That'd be nice, wouldn't it, to think you were? Maybe one week I'll ask you to send in some photos that I can put them up. Maybe we'll do that one time. I'll give you some notice about that when it's going to happen, so you can go and find your best Hawaiian shirt. So, this is very much our last, is it our last? It is, very last Friday, Happy Hour Friday of winter, which means absolutely nothing. So when I talk to you next week, we'll be into spring. But like I say, that means absolutely nothing as far as the weather is concerned. We've had all sorts of stuff here going on this week. We had a beautiful day. One day was just the perfect day. Up in, I think we got up to about 20 here in Goulburn, which is pretty out of the ordinary. And we're back in. Hello, Richard. Hello, Lana. Nice to have you along. I'm just doing a little bit of rambling here before I get my fingers busy. Welcome along. And I'm just giving you my meteorological input. I've got a pretty good view outside here. You wouldn't believe it here, but about 20 minutes ago we had sunshine for, I'm going to say, all of about 45 seconds. It was encouraging for that time. I got my hopes up, but I thought, well, it's the end of the day. Thanks very much. But we don't like to whinge and carry on here in Happy Hour land, coming to you from the Happy Hour Shack. I've got a few tunes for you today. I hope they put you in a little bit of a more summery frame of mind. I did a little bit of curating along those lines, so hopefully that they will inspire a sunny disposition in you. I've got a little bit of a beverage sitting by there too, which I'm going to inaugurate in a moment before we get underway with Happy Hour today. Did I have anything of particular importance to relate? I'm not really sure that I do. There will be some tunes today. There always are. They will be in the form. Oh, good. That would be wonderful. Hello, Pete Miller's there. Hello, Pete. And we could very well see Wendy and her mum and Peter. Just quietly, you might have to remind me there, mum's name. We did meet a long time ago, but she won't remember me, and I'm struggling here at this end. A bit hard to be discreet, isn't it, when you're online? All right. So where are we going to go today? We're going to start with something, I'm going to say it might inspire a bit of a sunny disposition in you. The usual thing with our quiz is do your best to identify the song and the artist, and then I'll ask you a little bit of a bonus question as a follow-up. And really, that's just an excuse. This is just an excuse for me to get my fingers busy and for you to get your feet up, because our brief here is, Ironing Mike's brief is to help you iron out the wrinkles from your week. So it very much requires you to be in a supine position. In other words, Pam, of course. Hello, Pam. I do remember now, actually, and I should have known that, but you caught me on the hop. Yeah, I had a similar situation last night too. It happens to all of us, doesn't it? I was out playing last night in a concert, and after the show, as I was leaving, I ran into a friend, and I didn't realise he was there with his in-laws until I popped my head around, and I thought, I should know your name. But of course, the old deer in the headlight syndrome kicked in. and I had to excuse myself. Welcome along, Wendy and Pam. Got a tune for you. Okay, too much talk from me, but we will start. I hope you've got something in your glass for our Friday night happy hour. By the way, those of you who tune in from Goulburn, you're being a little bit slack this morning. I've got viewers coming in from Bowral. I've got viewers coming in from Melbourne. Let's get a little bit of a representation from around the area here, shall we? Yeah. Okay. Here's to you. Here's to the weekend. I hope it's a good one for you. We're going to wash away the dust of a week, iron out the creases, down the hatch. Okie doke. First little bit of happy hour trivia for today will be this tune. I hope you know it, and I think maybe a few of you out there are going to help us out with the artist too. Thought we might have had a few more bites on that one. Okay, let's deal with them from the top. Pam, you're talking about Beppy. Beppy is the macaw, actually, sitting up there on the perch. And we had a little bit of a competition the other week because the pussycat needed a name. And, well, kind of taken with a few ideas that came in, but I was a bit taken also with Peter's contribution, Gilligan. So I'm kind of, doesn't matter really, does it? I hate to put anyone's nose out of joint there. Hello, James. Hello, Edie. Hey there. Wonderful to see you. Where they're coming from, I'm going to say it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Is Edie going off to play date, or what do they call it over there? They're coming to us from Barcelona. James is my number 2 son, and Edie is one of my 5 grandchildren. Nice to hear from you, Edie. Of course, you can see me, but I can't see you. And Danny's there in Hughes in the ACT. Still no Goulburn representation today. Coming to us from Hughes, and Rudy and Dom are with him. Fantastic. Hello, Rudy. Hello, Dom. So these are, let's see, got 5 grandies. So first, Rudy's the eldest. Rudy, excuse me, I'm getting a bit on the tongue twisted side. And then Edie, then Dominic, then Octavia, and then Francis. Love Potion number 9 is close, Wendy. It's got that minor key vibe going on. You've got to change your evil ways, baby. Before... Have you heard that now? Where is it up here? A bit high for me. You got to change your evil ways. I'm imagining Richard might have his head around that one, and I'm surprised Peter hasn't too. Evil Ways was a bit of a hit for a band that became very popular. I'm going to give you a clue. The band was named after the founder and lead guitarist. And he's had a very long and successful career, leading his band. Actually, his band would probably be, if you think about the Rolling Stones as having longevity, this fellow's probably had almost the same number of years on the up on the scoreboard as the Rolling Stones, but I haven't given away the name yet. A bit hard for me to ask a bonus question, isn't it? Shall I give this one away? You got to change your evil ways. All right, I think maybe I'm going to let you know. Nice and cool in Barcelona this morning. Taking Edie to school soon. Okay. And we're meeting her new teacher. You beauty. Hello, Steph Miller. You've got it, Santana. Yep. Hello, Phil Leighton Daly. Yeah, I'm wearing Gilligan's hat. I know. Yeah, Steph's there. Steph Miller pulled that one in. And Richard and Orlana were able to help us with Evil Ways by Santana. Carlos to his friends. Carlos Santana. And he's headed various different lineups, all going under the moniker or the title. Yeah, always helps, doesn't it, Richard? Yep, I know. Always helps to have the keyboard connected, especially when we're doing a quiz. Okay, that's good. Now, who did I miss? Said hello to Steph Miller. Steph's coming from Sydney. Do I have any Goulburn representation yet? This is embarrassing. No Goulburn representation. Of course, we come to you from Goulburn. We're on the southern tablelands here. And it is bitter at the moment. You know those sort of forecasts they give you, or rather the reports they give you, and they give you the temperature, then they tell you what it feels like. So, you know, we're down well under 10 degrees, of course, and the feels like tends to be -3. Goulburn slackers, yeah, I know. And we shouldn't complain about it, should we? At all. What have I got to complain about? I live in a nice part of the world, a well-kept secret, close to everywhere, and not too many distractions for the wallet. Mind you, I am off to Canberra tomorrow, and I'm going to have to rug up. I'm going to have to get out the Doona suit. Yeah, that's right. Well, there'll be a fire going, Peter, down at the Goulburn Club tonight. Goulburn Club, I'm expecting them to chime in soon if someone down there is logged in to the club's Facebook account or not, or their own. What was I saying? Yeah, I'm going to rug up tomorrow, and I'm going to Canberra for the footy. Well, I hear you saying out there, more fool you. Exactly. But we're going to be rugged up. And what do you expect anyway when you head off to the footy in Canberra in the winter? Canberra's as cold as Goulburn, although sometimes we eclipse them. In fact, more often than not, we eclipse them. We had some hail during the week here. We've had hail, we've had beautiful sunshine, we've had horrible strong winds and I was looking before I came on today. We're expecting Arctic blasts tomorrow. So, like I said, the doona suit is coming out. I've got a whole outfit that's made out of a doona. I won't wear the bottom half though because it makes me look like Michelin Man. But I'm going to need the top part. Okay, that was Evil Ways. That was Santana. Now I'm going to play a little bit of that vamp again. This is the vamp, by the way. Yeah, the doona suit's coming out. Tiger's doona suit. Now that'll be the go. I have got a tiger scarf, and I have got a tiger's bucket hat. So they'll be coming out tomorrow. And I would like to think that the Tigers could show a bit of form tomorrow. I don't know if there's many other Tigers supporters out there, but I'm a bit of a Tigers tragic. I grew up in that part of Sydney, near Balmain. Well, so much for my misspent youth. Let's get you to think about a bonus question for Santana. Now, that was the way that we were introduced to them via that hit song, and it came off their first album. Santana, if you've got a long memory, were one of the acts that blitzed it at Woodstock. And at Woodstock, they performed a lot of the hits off their first album, one of which was called Soul Sacrifice. Evil Ways was on there, but the question I'm going to ask, can you picture the album cover? The album cover had some black and white artwork on it depicting what kind of an animal? What kind of an animal is depicted on the front cover of Santana's, I'm going to say 1968, somewhere around there. When was Woodstock? Was that 69? So they were very much new on the scene then. And like I say, they blitzed it. What was I saying? Yeah, okay. Let's have that as a bonus question. All right. I don't even have to play the... Thank you, Steph Miller. Yep, the bonus question. Hello, Carmen. Carmen and Greg are there, tuned in. What part of Sydney are you catching up from today, Carmen? You always tune in from Marsfield, do you? I've got Greg pretty much doing playbacks from YouTube, but now there's something too. I might just let people know if you're looking for. Thank you. Carmen was able to tell us it's a lion on the front of Santana's eponymous first album. What does eponymous mean? It means named after the artist. The album called Santana. What came after that? Abraxas. And one of my favourites, Caravanserai. In downtown Marsfield. Freezing, are you? Oh, gee whiz. Good. Okay. I've been doing way too much talking to get underway today, and I still haven't pulled in a local. Good grief, what's going on? Down the hatch, everybody. Let's leave Santana there for the moment. And I'm going to look for this. All right. This will be an easy one. The song, the artist. Then I'm going to ask you something about the lyric. So as you're listening to it this time, see how much of the lyric you can put together in your head, because the bonus question will come from the lyric of this particular tune. No doubts about that one. Our Petula. Now, I always put an I in this. Let me see. Petula Clark. Yeah, oh, there's a wonderful story. I'm going to have to hear all about that. All about that, Peter. Okay, okay. All right. Petula Clark, not Petulia. And not the fragrance that hippie girls used to put on. What was that? Petulia. No, I'm sorry. I get tongue-tied on the subject of Petula Clark and all the derivations of the pronunciation. Wendy knew it was downtown. Carmen knew it was Petula, and it was Greg knew that too. Downtown. Greg. Okay. Patchouli. All right. Yeah. Good. Okay. Tony Hatch. On the subject of Tony Hatch, just before we go to our bonus question with this one, Tony Hatch wrote a lot of Petula Clark's terrific hits, and it's a little known fact that the Canadian classical pianist Glenn Gould, who was made his name rather, as a interpreter of Bach, and he considered that Tony Hatch's contribution to pop music was perfecto. He just thought they were perfectly formed pop songs, and he didn't care what his classical music alumni, is that the term? Or what his classical music contemporaries thought about that. Because he was always bucking the system, was Mr. Glenn Gould. And Tony Hatch has got a Australian connection. Peter, am I going to give you a little bit of or preempt what you were letting us know about your DX7 keyboard? Jackie Trent and Tony Hatch, that's right, they wrote the Neighbours theme. Everybody needs good neighbours. Right. And that's about as much as I know about Tony Hatch. Husband and wife team, Jackie Trent and Tony Hatch. And they put out a lot of, I guess if I refer to Glenn Gould's assessment, perfect pop. They knew how to do it. You'll never hear the Neighbours theme the same way again. I would never forgive anyone if they stole my DX7, Peter. Even if it was Tony. Yes, that's right. Don't forgive him. Yeah, that's a crime against synthesis, that is. Those of you not in the know, the DX7 is a very desirable synthesizer that Yamaha brought out, keyboard synthesizer, and everyone was using them. Hard to hear an 80s song that doesn't use a DX7. All right. You've got me on tenterhooks now. I need to know the backstory for the Tony Hatch crime against synthesis. That'd be a good name for an album, Peter. Crime against synthesis. I'm on the case. All right. I said that the bonus question for Downtown was going to be something that you could pick up from the lyric. Now, there's a lyric in it, maybe the second verse, I think. Listen to the music of the gentle what? Finish that little line. Listen to the music sung by Barry Crocker. That was the Neighbours theme. They don't get more iconic than that. No, they don't get more. And actually, yeah, I was looking at Bob Catter's hat the other day, and I was thinking, there's Baz there. Yep, in all his glory, a contemporary Baz. The Bossa Nova, you beautiful. You're right there. That's a beautiful response, Carmen. The Bossa Nova, the beautiful South American dance style. So listen to the gentle Bossa Nova. Greg knew that one, did he? Okay. Now, there is something about the traffic in the city. I think that might be in the first verse, is it? I don't have the lyric in front of me, but I know that line. Love this part. Yeah. Nice bit of melody writing, that is. Okay. Um, did we resolve that? I think we did. And here we are at the 30-minute mark, and I've done nothing but yap. And I still don't have any takers there in the comment section from Golden. Okay. A slightly more contemporary song, this one. When I say slightly, I'm going to say this century. uh, most of the things that we call pop music these days, and people would agree, pop music is music that most people know. There's not a lot of songs that actually meet that criteria that have been written this century. Most of the songs that we can call pop seem to peter out when we got to about the end of the 80s. You know, you do have some exceptions, of course, but when we talk about the generally well-known songs, counts you out. I don't know. Okay, so here you go. This is a particularly nice. This lady had a few. There you go. I've told you already. It's a female singer. We just want to know name of the song, who she is. I wonder how we'll go here. I'm curious now whether my listenership are clued into. I can hardly call it modern pop. Like I say, though, it'd be sometime earlier this century. Is that enough? Okay, let's play some for you. Now, as is our want here, we don't charge you for any bum notes I play. No, not at all. You are on the money for the artist there. Was that Richard or Lana? Knew that one. Yeah. We've got an artist. We've got an artist. The artist is Nora Jones. And it's in one of her songs, and I fudged the melody a little bit, for which I apologise. Don't be too hard on me. I'll just give you a bit of the chorus. It might help you now knowing that to be able to put. Actually, it's the title is not in the chorus. The title is going to come at the end of each line of the verse. So let me just give you that. I'll see if I can do a better job of putting that together. Okay, I'm going to give you this one, but it's not going to stop us having a bonus question. The song is called Don't Know Why. It's here in the lyric. It comes in here, don't know why. I don't know why I didn't come. Yep. Beautiful song. Nora Jones, of course, beautiful woman too. I hope she won't mind me saying that. And I hope I don't get myself into all sorts of troubling knots for making that kind of an observation. She, of course, has had a few songs, probably one of the few contemporary artists to have hit songs. The fact that someone was able to identify it tells me that, it's not like something that might have come out and bypassed most of us. Okay. I haven't taken the hat off yet, Wendy. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. You can show her a photo. All right. I don't want to lose my viewership. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Maybe someone can just jump in and I don't have to play that again. For the bonus. Okay. Nora Jones has a famous father. Famous father has Nora Jones. Want to know who? How well do you know Nora? If you don't know Nora, can I suggest getting onto YouTube and doing some of her concerts? In fact, when we were doing Happy Hour during the COVID years, thank you, Richard and Orlana, Ravi Shankar, master classical Indian classical sitarist. And Peter, I'm just hoping you haven't got a story about Ravi having nicked one of your sitars. But that wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, my tongue is firmly planted in my cheek there. All right. Ravi Shankar. Ravi Shankar came to everybody's attention when he... All right, got you there. Ravi Shankar turned up at Monterey, the Monterey Festival. And he wowed everybody. He had the ability to just create music that engulfed everybody in this wave. I can attest to that. I saw Ravi Shankar at the Sydney Town Hall, I'm going to say somewhere about early 70s, I'm going to say about 73, 74. Ravi Shankar, sitar. Alaraka, master tabla player. And I've forgotten for the moment the name of the tambura player. The tambura is the Indian drone instrument. And of course, there were a lot of place was full of us hippies, and none of us, I think, as well acquainted with the intricacies of Indian classical music as what you probably need to be equipped to. Yep, and introduced to the world by George Harrison. Ravi Shankar also turned up on Concert for Bangladesh. And when I saw Ravi Shankar at the Sydney Town Hall, beautiful venue for it, by the way. I've always loved Sydney Town Hall. The acoustic there is just terrific, and I've seen a lot of great artists there. I only wish they could have got Duke Ellington in there. Having to see Duke, did I do this? This is one of my big gripes. This one, get me talking about Duke Ellington, and I'll always get irate about how they put him in the Rushcutters Bay Stadium in Sydney. He should have been in the Sydney Town Hall. All right, Ravi Shankar. Anyway, the effect that he had on the audience was he had everybody. The music was just mesmerising, and you could sense it just coming over you in waves. And the audience was affected by these waves. You could hear the gasps and the oohs and the ahs as the wave that came off the stage just engulfed the audience. And I'll remember that. It made me do a little bit of homework on Indian music and the way ragas are constructed and that kind of thing. Probably the kind of thing I should have done before the concert. And yeah, Goulburn Drive-In, eh? That would have been hi-fi coming through one of those speakers hanging on the door, Pete. But those were the days. Concert for Bangladesh at the Drive-In. Fantastic. All right. Did I say who found it? Yeah, it was Richard and Orlana. They were able to tell us that was Ravi Shankar. Glorious Mono, of course. Okay. From Ravi Shankar to something a whole lot less Ravi Shankar. Artist, please, and song. Oh. You know what I did? I pushed the wrong button. But I haven't muted the mic yet today, Peter. I'm going to get through a whole show without muting my microphone. Is it turned on now? Yes, it is. Okay. All right. Tell us about this song, please. And I'm going to go back to... Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. And then I meant to do this. Hi there, Connie. You are on the money. Hello, Harold. Good to have you along. You in town yet? Maybe not coming into town tonight. I'll tell you something about. Well, hold on. Let's do this first. Okay, the song was called "Don't Make My Brown Eyes Blue." Nice little country feel going on there, and it was indeed, Peter, Crystal Gale. Crystal Gale, the lady singer there. Connie said, yes, you're right on the money there, Connie. Harold's on the money. Carmen's on the money. Okay, was there a bonus question for this one? I don't know a single thing about Crystal Gale. In there later, okay. Tonight at the Goulburn Club, there will be what we fondly refer to as Gabbioke. Gabby Couch will be running what she calls her Gabbioke, which is where folks come in and they do karaoke but with a band. And that always draws a few folk in, and I'm sure it will, because the fires will be going down there. And the ale will be flowing, the taps and the wine, of course. And that is happening this week because this is the 5th week of the month. And normally the 5th week of the month we don't have anything out of the ordinary schedule, so it's a Gabbioke night down there. If you're in town, Crystal Gale and Tom Waits sound. Oh, okay, so I got a little bit. One from the Heart. Oh, truly, okay. That's an interesting combination. I'm going to do some homework on that one. I didn't realise that she and Tom Waits. That would be back from the time before Tom Waits met his current wife, Kathleen Brennan, and he changed his whole image completely. Back in the 70s when he recorded on Asylum Records, Tom Waits was a piano playing, hard living, beautiful songs. Yeah, and I imagine a lot of them would have been Tom Waits songs too. I'm going to do some homework on that one, Peter. Thank you for the tip there. Crystal Gale and Tom Waits, eh? A lot of my favourite Tom Waits, people seem to have picked up on his later stuff, but I especially like, as is my son James, who's probably listening, some of the early ones, The Heart of the Saturday Night, and what was it, something in Vine? Heartache and Vine. Now, they both wrote the songs. He met Kathleen on One from the Heart, I believe. Oh, okay, now there's a connection. Peter, meet James, my number 2 son and authority on Tom Waits. So he met Kathleen on that movie. Okay. Yeah, Heart Attack and Vine. What did I say? Yeah, Heart Attack and Vine. And there's a great live double album he does too. Is that Heart Attack and Vine, James? I know his songs actually better than I know the chronology of his albums. Okie doke. That's what's great about having a brains trust on the other end of happy hour, that I don't have to know too much, or if I fall over and lose my authority, someone's going to pick me up. Beautiful. All right. Now, I've got this. I don't think I'm going to do that now because I'm going to do this one. This one's had a little bit of practice during the week. It's not totally under the fingers yet, but it's a wonderful challenge to play. So if I let it go for another week, I might back out. Big Time was the live album. Thank you, James. Oh, too much talk. Let's have a little bit of a lubricate of the throat, everybody. Down the hatch. All right. Here's a challenge for you. Want to know the artist? It's a band. And the name of the tune. And I'm going to see if I can get from one end to the other without falling off the horse, because this one is what you call a challenge. Whew, well, we got there in a pinch. Yeah, does anybody really know what time it is? Absolutely wonderful piece of writing. Greg is just so close. Carmen, Greg is so close for the artist. Richard and Orlana told us it was, does anyone really know what time it is? And Greg, with Blood, Sweat and Tears, you were so close because Blood, Sweat and Tears, of course, were popular with, their first hit out here was, oh, why has that slipped my mind? They had Spinning Wheel. You've Made Me So Very Happy. Yeah, You've Made Me So Very Happy was Blood, Sweat and Tears' first hit, and then Spinning Wheel, and then a swag of other things. And of course, they were a horn outfit. They had saxophones and brass instruments in there, and very successful, of course. At the time, rock bands didn't use a lot of augmentation with their arrangements. And along came Blood, Sweat and Tears, formed by Al Cooper, famous for that iconic organ part on Like a Rolling Stone, famous producer. Yeah, you're a step ahead of me, Richard. You've got the bonus question before I got there. Richard has told us that it was Chicago. Absolutely wonderful horn section in that group, and they made about, I don't know, 20 something albums, and they were simply called Chicago 1, Chicago, or Chicago 2, Chicago 3, up to Chicago, whatever they got to. But I was always in awe with the precision and the imagination in their horn writing. And Richard has gazumped, or preempted is more the term. The question was going to be, does anyone really know what time it is came off their second album? Their first album had their first hit on it, and it was called 25 or 6 to 4. Do you remember that? And it went on like that, ad nauseum, not ad nauseum, but and they were called Chicago Transit Authority, CTA. Then they shortened it to Chicago. I watched a live concert of theirs. I've got a concert DVD of Chicago. It's probably from about 10 years ago now. But talk about dynamic, and Blood, Sweat and Tears too. Blood, Sweat and Tears were out here about the same time that Elton John did his first tour out here. I think they both did Randwick Racecourse from memory. And Blood, Sweat and Tears were just totally superb. A friend of mine went to see them recently in Canberra. A couple of years back, they were playing at the Southern Cross Club. First thing he said to me, my heavens, they were tight. That was always their calling card, Blood, Sweat and Tears. Tight as the expression goes. All right, got time for about one or two more today. How about we do this one? This is going to be an interesting little experiment. Speaking of experiments, it's time to keep the contents of this bottle from going flat. You got one there that you can join me with, everybody? Here's your health. Okay. Good one, Lana. Good pickup. I'm a fool to do your dirty work. The song was called Dirty Work. And considering you're the only one that jumped in there, Lana, you want to have a crack at the artist? Actually, okay, here's a clue for the artist. The hit for that song in Australia was a fellow, very popular here, but he was already a big name in New Zealand before he came across the ditch with his band. Brought his band across the ditch and started having hits here, one of which was the song called Dirty Work. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. Am I going to let this one go through to the keeper? Might be a little bit obscure, this one. If I mention the name Max Merritt and the Meteors, you know Max Merritt and the Meteors, what was that one? I'm distracted. Yep, you're like me. You're like me. I'm a bit distracted at the moment. Oh, this was the other Max Merritt one. Am I going to remember it? Oh, darn. You're getting an insight into how I beat up on myself when I'm trying to work out a song. Yeah. Oh, good one, Greg. Yeah. Dirty Work is written by the Steely Dan guys, Walter and Donald. Yep, and Slipping Away is. Let's see how much of that. Yes, I know. I had the microphone off. Let's see how much of this I put together. And that's about as much of that one as I can just put together off the top of my head. Yeah, it's a Steely Dan song. Not that one, but Dirty Work. I don't know where Slipping Away came from. That may even be a Max Merritt original. I'm not really too sure about that. I was a big Max Merritt fan back in the day. Used to go to all their gigs. I was a particular fan of his backing band too, Bob Birtles on saxophones. That's where I got my interest in the baritone sax from. In fact, that's what I was doing last night when I said I was playing in a concert last night. I was playing some baritone saxophone with a concert band. And I can trace my interest in the baritone saxophone back to Max Merritt and the Meteors and Stewie Spears on drums. They were a wonderful outfit. Very soulful too, very soulful. Am I running out of songs for today? I think I might. What's the time? Well, I think I've got time for one more. Doesn't matter if we go a little bit over. All right. While we're in the key of C, we might as well stay in the key of C. And actually, one more swig and the bottle will be gone, so that seems appropriate. Here's your health, everybody. Sorry, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch over to the keyboard so you're not picking up all the thumping through the microphone. Well, how about that? You've done all the work for me. Good call there, Brains Trust. Connie told us it was from Evita. Don't cry for me, Argentina, Peter. Identified that. Carmen knew it was Julie Covington. Yep, Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. And gazumped me there, got in before I had a chance to do a bonus question for that one. I was going to ask who played the role of Evita Peron, and that was Madonna. Movie about the wife of the Argentinian dictator. Am I correct? Argentinian dictator. And his wife Evita Peron. Okay, wow, we're a little bit over time today, but hey, who cares? What's time? That's a concept, isn't it? And a fairly malleable one too. All right, thanks, people. Love to have you along every week, and I look forward to digging out some new tunes and doing some homework between this week and next. I'm going to wish you well for the weekend. if you're in the path of all this Arctic blast that's coming our way, stay rugged up and think of me tomorrow at the footy in my Doona suit. They tell me I look like Michelin Man, so it's the price you pay for being warm. Okay, now I'm going to sign off, and hopefully this button here gets me out the back door. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you soon.